Graders, today we are going to focus on our Unit 3 vocabulary. So in front of you, you should have a pencil and your notes page that has positive numbers, negative numbers, additive inverse, and absolute value on it. This is the front side. And then you should be able to fold this in half, like hot dog style, to make it into a foldable. So you can go ahead and do that. But we're going to take numbers on the inside. So if you open this up to the inside, on the first flap where it says positive numbers, your inside of your foldable should look like this. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and start taking some notes on positive numbers. So you guys already know what positive numbers are. You use them every single day, all the time. Some clue words for positive numbers means could be above zero, if you're gaining money, depositing money, like putting money into a checking account or a savings account. If you receive money, a profit would be a positive number. And we're going to go ahead and add one more in here, and we're going to put greater than zero. Okay, so if a number is greater than zero, means the same thing as above zero, but greater than zero. If it's bigger than zero, it has to be a positive number. Okay, on our number line here, we're going to draw in a positive number are going to be any of these numbers that are to the right of zero. Oh, actually, I think I'm going to use this one. And let's make it red. Okay, so all of these numbers that go to the right of zero, these are all positive numbers. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and draw that line above your number line from the zero moving to the right. And then we're also going to type in here, we're going to label this as positive numbers. Okay, so these are all your positive numbers. And this arrow to the right here, that just means that it keeps going on forever and ever and ever. Okay. So that's it for positive numbers. Fairly simple. We just want you to have notes on this so you can look back on it later. Okay, as always, if you need to pause the video to catch up, that is perfectly fine. Next, we're going to be talking about negative numbers. So if you open your foldable to negative numbers, you'll see the same types of things. You'll see here we have some clue words. Below zero, a loss, like if you're losing money, that's negative. A charge, like if you're charging your credit card, that's negative money. You're spending money, that's a negative. Withdraw, so if I'm taking money out of my checking account, it's a negative. If I owe somebody money, that's a negative thing. And then we're also going to put in here less than zero. Again, the same as below zero, just another way that you'll hear and see it throughout this unit, less than zero. Okay, so on a number line, numbers that are less than zero are going to be any of these numbers that are to the left. So any number that's to the left of zero, that's going to be a negative number. Okay, so now we've identified your positive numbers and your negative numbers. Now we're going to go into additive inverse. So additive inverse is a number that when added to another number is zero. Okay, so in your definition section here, I want you to put in here opposites. Okay, so these are opposite numbers. Okay, we can also put in here zero pair. These are called zero pairs as well. So these are another just different ways that we can use to explain additive inverse, opposites, or zero pair. Okay, over on the right-hand side here, what we're going to do, a couple different things. First, let's just go ahead and write what the additive inverse of these examples are. So the additive inverse of 5. So the opposite of 5 is going to be negative 5. So if I added 5 plus negative 5, it should get me to 0. Okay, so I need to put in here whatever is going to help me get to 0. So if I am using this number line, I'm starting at 0. I'm going to go to this first number 5. Okay, so I'm going in my number line over to the number 5. Okay, so I'm right here. I need to know, how am I going to get to 0? Okay, well, I'm at 5. So if I'm going to get to 0, I'm starting here at 5. I'm going to have to go backwards in the negative direction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get me back to 0. Okay, so that means that when I add 5 plus negative 5, it's going to get me to 0. And this is how we would show this on a number line. So in this section, an easy way that you could remember this is that it's always the opposite. Okay, so additive inverse is going to always be the opposite number. Okay, so if I'm looking at the additive inverse of negative 1, so if I'm at negative 1, I want to know how am I going to get to 0? Well, I'd have to go in the positive direction 1 time. So therefore, the additive inverse of 1, or of negative 1, would be positive 1. Okay, I would have to go in the positive direction 1 time to get me to 0. Okay, the last vocabulary term that we're going to talk about right now is absolute value. Absolute value can kind of be tricky. It's similar to additive inverse, but not exactly the same. So let's talk about this one. Absolute value is how far a number is away from 0. Okay, you will see these two straight lines on either side of the number. That is the absolute value sign. Okay, I do not want you to get this confused with parentheses. Okay, if you see parentheses, those mean something totally different. So this is a non-example. Okay, a parenthesis around a 5 is not the same thing as these completely straight lines around the 5. So these two straight lines around the 5 just mean they want to know how far away is that from 0. Okay, well, if I'm at 5, I'm 5 spots away from 0. It doesn't matter the direction. Okay, so we're just simply going to write in here we're 5 spaces away from 0. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. Okay, now if we look at the next one, we have negative 1 and 8/10. So we need to know the absolute value of negative 1 and 8/10. So if I'm looking at my number line, negative 1 and 8/10 is going to be somewhere right around here. I want to know how far away am I from 0. So I'd have to go 8/10 and then another 1 space to get to 0. Okay, it doesn't matter what direction I'm going. I'm just simply stating how far away we are. So if I'm going to write the absolute value, of negative 1.8, it's going to be positive 1.8. We're 1.8 spaces away from 0. Our last example here, the absolute value of 0. 0 is 0 spaces away from 0, so the absolute value of 0 is 0. Okay, some notes that I want you to take over on the left-hand side here with the definition. We're going to write an example. Let's go with, how am I going to make these lines? Sorry. Okay, so let's go ahead and write -4. Oops. Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys. I should have had this part done beforehand. Okay, I'm just going to draw another line here. Thanks for being patient. Okay, so if I have the absolute value of -4, we have to figure out what is the absolute value of -4. Well, this is going to equal +4 because it is 4 spaces away from 0. So if I was to look at this number line, I'm right here on the number line, the -4. I'm just simply counting how many spaces am I going to have to move to get to 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the answer is 4. A little hint that I want you to write down on the right-hand side over here is that this number absolute value is always positive. Okay, so again, just counting how far away it is. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to take these notes and I want you to get them put into your math journal. We're going to, really quick, in your math journal, I think we're on something like page 11, and then you're going to write Unit 3 vocabulary, and then today's date. Okay, and then you're going to actually go ahead and glue this notes page into your math journal so that when you open it, you're able to open into the inside and see all of these examples here. Okay, when that is done, you guys need to grab this integer review sheet. Okay, the integer review sheet. It's a whole page, okay, but you should have plenty of time to work on it. You need to define these vocabulary words: positive number, negative number, absolute value. We just did that, so it should be fresh in your brain. And then in this section, you have to write an integer to represent each situation. So I'm going to do just 1 or 2 examples with you here real quick. Gain 7 yards. So you have to decide if gaining means a positive number or a negative number. So if I'm gaining 7 yards, that's going to be a positive thing. We're going to have +7. Okay, this positive sign, it doesn't have to be there. Okay, so if we do not have a symbol in front of a number, it's assumed to be positive. So you can put it there or not put it there. Either way is fine. Okay, but if I go next door here, I see a 6-yard penalty. Okay, so a penalty, that's a negative thing. So when I'm writing an example for this integer, I'm going to write -6. Okay, again, penalty is a negative thing, so we need to put that negative in front. Okay, you're going to have to do those 4 by yourself. Then in the next section, name the absolute value for each of the following. You have 3 that you have to do there. Okay, then here's where it's going to get a little bit more challenging. You guys are going to have to use these 2 numbers and decide if it's greater than, less than, or equal to. Okay, so I'm looking at this first one. I have -4 and -9. So if I'm imagining a number line, okay, and this is 0, we're going to put -10 over here. Okay, I'm just going to kind of guesstimate on these ones. -4 is going to be about right here, and then -9 is going to be all the way here over here by the -10. Okay, when I'm comparing these two, the more I move to the left, the smaller my numbers get. Okay, so -9 is actually smaller than -4. Okay, meaning -4 is greater than. So I want to put this greater than symbol going towards the 4. Okay, so when we're talking about negative numbers, even though the numbers look bigger, they're actually smaller. Okay, if you think about this in terms of money, if I owed somebody $50, right, that's worse than owing somebody $5. Okay, I'm going to have more money in my pocket if I owe somebody $5 compared to $50. Okay, so be careful of these ones where we have two negative signs. All right, then your last two questions, you're going to have to use the number lines to put these numbers in order from least to greatest. So both of these say from least to greatest. That means I want to know from smallest to biggest. So you're going to have to place each of these numbers on the number line. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. They need to be placed on the number line. And then you need to put them in a list in order from least to greatest. So if they're on the number line, then it should be pretty easy to put them in order. I just want you to be careful of this one right here. This says the absolute value of -8, so I'm going to help you with that really quick. If I'm seeing the absolute value of -8, the answer to that is 8. So when I place this integer on the number line, I'm actually going to go over 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to label this. Sorry, it's really hard to use my mouse. As the absolute value of -8. Okay, so that's where that one is on the number line. So that one's done for you. You just have to place the rest of the numbers on the number line and then put them in order from least to greatest. So be careful of those ones with the absolute value signs. That is all I have for you today. If you don't finish this sheet in class, it will be homework. So just make sure to get that done on your own if you do not have enough class time. Okay, thank you so much.